Parts of the world travel market for South Africa's largest self-owned, managed and self-catering tourism operator, SANParks, is the ability to develop their public-private partnerships, as well as promoting not only tourism, but conservation as well. The world travel market starts tomorrow in Cape Town, and joining us to discuss this is SANParks Managing Executive of Tourism Development, Hapiloe Sello. So good to have you on the show, Hapiloe. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, Leanne. Thank you for having me.
You know, it's so interesting because a lot of people actually think that SANParks is a government department of some sort. Please explain to us the fact that it's actually self-owned.
We are a government department indeed. So we are a state-owned entity. However, we earn about 80% of our own income, and we're not really reliant fully on government for our own funding. So tourism is a major generator of our income. And yes, I think a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, certainly. But obviously, I mean, the main crux of it is that it still does fall under government. And when you are entering into the SANParks, they are, I mean, the land is government-owned land. Is that correct?
It is indeed.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the interdependency between tourism and conservation? Because this is a very, very big fine line. I mean, I know that some people, particularly those that love the bush, they love tourism and going out into there, they don't want these massive buildings and all this modernization to take place. They like it just the way it is. So in order to enhance tourism and yet still work towards conservation, how do you do that?
You see, our primary mandate, first and foremost, is conservation, Leanne. But the only way we can fulfill our mandate is to generate income through tourism. And it is that tourism revenue that allows us to generate, or rather to fulfill our mandate, which is to conserve the biodiversity and the heritage assets of this country. So it's a very tight and symbiotic relationship that we cannot separate. So the more people we have in our parks, the more we can generate income that allows us to, as I said, conserve the assets of this country, the biodiversity assets of this country, and to keep it pristine and beautiful as you see it, and to be able to attract significant numbers. We have about 7 million visitors a year. We also need to increase that. A lot of people are not aware that we have actually 19 parks, not just Kruger National Park, but we also have Table Mountain and a few others, Golden Gate National Park, Tsitsikamma. And I always say to people that we have a destination for every taste and every preference. So everything from the Big Five right through to coastal and to desert parks such as Kgalagadi, which is all the way out past Uppington. So we have a really varied portfolio, and I see you've got some pictures there that you're showing off, and I hope that people are going to be very attracted to what we have to offer and learn more about our parks.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's so important for not only the foreign tourists to enjoy them, but also for the locals to enjoy them. And there's always this very big move to try and attract more local tourists to our parks. How is that going? I know that there's always SANParks Week where South African citizens get free entry, and we've got a whole host of different kinds of accommodations available. But trying to attract local tourists, how's that going?
It's going very well. Approximately 70% of our visitors are domestic. So it's a market that we treasure and value very much. But as I've said previously, it's a market that needs to grow. The domestic market is very important because it is less, fragile and less reactive to bigger issues such as, for example, with your international markets, you find that they react very quickly to, let's say, a political situation in our country, whereas the domestic market tends to be a bit more moderate and have an appreciation of what is happening. So it's a very critical market for us. As I said, it's very important that we grow it. We need to see younger people in the parks. And we're working very hard to get them to to appreciate what it is we have to offer.
Yeah, and that's that fine line that I think I was alluding to a little bit earlier. You know, we know that the youth love all these technological things and these fancy kind of different getaways and different holidays, but going to SANParks is kind of breaking away from all of that. So to try and attract the youth, I imagine, is important. But it's also something that within a family, you almost, once you've experienced it, you want to go back. So within the ranks of a family, if you instill that passion in your children, they'll continue going back. And I'm sure you've experienced that a few times.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. You know, with the research that we've done, we have discovered that our most loyal visitors, and these are people who literally take a pilgrimage every year to their favorite parks, we find that they started visiting parks around about the age of 5. So it is true. It is something that gets ingrained very early on in childhood as an experience. But we still believe, and the truth is, we are still going to try and generate more interest from those under 12s, because the under 12s are very critical to shaping what decisions parents make about holiday destinations. But even the teenagers and the so-called millennials are very critical. We still believe that we can whet their appetite at this stage about what it is we have to offer, and to try and teach them that there are other ways of relaxing and enjoying their leisure time. It's not just about the dancing, the music, the noise, that every now and again they could also benefit from just taking a pause and sitting back and enjoying nature, because nature is very healing, as you know.
It certainly is. It really is. All right, so let's quickly touch on the world travel market. What does it mean to SANParks? What are you going to be doing there? Just give us some details.
Well, the world travel market is one of South Africa's biggest business-to-business exhibitions, where we, as providers of tourism services, can interact with trade from all over the world. And trade is tour operators, as an example, just to give you an indication of who we'll be meeting. These are very critical interactions for us because they drive our business. But in addition to the exhibition itself, will be an investment summit, to which WTM will be inviting quite a lot of media internationally, continentally, and not only that, but business people. So we are going to use that platform to showcase the public-private partnerships opportunities that we have in our parks, which are very critical partnerships that allow us to diversify what it is we have to offer to the tourist in the parks. So we currently have 50 triple Ps, if I may use the acronym, and these span all the way from, I think the most well-known and the most visible would be the cable car at Table Mountain. It is a triple P. And all the way down to retail stores, restaurants, and lodges. But for us to increase our footprint of triple Ps in our 19 parks, and to also diversify the network of concessionaires or partners that we have, we need to get the word out there that these opportunities do exist. Okay. And these are opportunities, as I said, from very high cap investments such as lodge construction, all the way to, and I'll use very easy words, renting our facilities, let's say, to run a store or to run a restaurant. So there is space for all sizes of businesses. all the way from SMMEs and, as I said, your major investment players.
Yeah.
We just feel that there is not enough interest in the tourism sector in South Africa as a business. So we need to get the word out there for people to appreciate that tourism as a business is a sector that is thriving, that they should consider to add into their investment portfolio.
All right, we need to leave it there for this morning. Hapiloe Sello, thanks so much for talking to us here on the program. She's SANParks' Managing Executive for Tourism Development, talking to us about the World Travel Market, which starts tomorrow in Cape Town. All right, let's take